So you just got done with your taxes, and some of you probably walked out of the meeting with your CPA. You got a check, or at least a check coming. Others of you are maybe walking out with a bill, and depending on how your taxes ended up, you're either feeling really good right now or you're not feeling so hot. So what we want to do today is hit on this whole idea of taxes, give you some quick tips on maybe things that can improve the situation in this next year. All right, so first off, we have to give you the caveat that we are not tax professionals. So we're not in the business of offering tax advice or doing anything like that. That's something where you certainly want to work with your CPA or your accountant. What we do love to do is be a part of those conversations. So we love meetings where we can meet with people and the CPA is there or the accountant is there and we can plan together because taxes do become a huge piece of people's overall financial plan. So it's something that's extremely important, but we ourselves are not tax professionals. But there are three things that really we want to touch on that can help as you are getting done with your taxes or even as you prepare for taxes. One of the big things we've talked about in other videos we've done is this whole idea of tax planning versus tax prep. If you're discovering something that you should have done while you're doing your taxes, you missed the boat because most of what needed to get done needed to happen prior to that point. So there's this whole idea of planning involved. And as you look at tax planning, one of the most important things you can do is know your tax bracket. And I think there's this notion that people have that if you get bumped into the next tax bracket, that all of a sudden you're paying this higher tax rate on your entire income. And that's completely false. So what we have in our system is a progressive tax system. So, if you're in the 16% bracket and you're gonna bump up to the 22, that doesn't mean that your entire income is now gonna be paid out with the 22% tax bracket. Only the portion of income that moved into that bracket is going to get charged the 22% tax. So that's one thing that people need to be aware of. But being aware of what your tax bracket is so that you can plan things out is extremely helpful. To know how much room do I have to do Roth conversions before I have to bump any of my income into the next tax bracket. How much room do I have to gift, or how much should I gift in order to keep myself below a certain tax bracket? Knowing your tax bracket and knowing what you need to be prepared for when it comes tax time is extremely important. And I would say the vast majority of people that walk through our doors have no idea what their tax bracket is. So it's something that we certainly want to help them with. Number two, we want to know what's available to us within our income limits and within our tax bracket even. So even taking a high income earner where it seems like there's not a whole lot you can do, you're gonna pay taxes out the wazoo and it is gonna be what it's gonna be. Well, can we take advantage of things like an HSA? Are there tools, since we don't have as many tax efficient vehicles, we can't get deductions for our IRA contributions. We can't even contribute to a Roth IRA. There's tools out there like HSAs, that we can contribute to and still get tax benefits. So knowing the tools that are available to you are extremely important, but you can't know that until you kind of have a better feel of what your tax situation is, what bracket you're in, how close you are to moving to the next bracket, how hard it would be to bump down a bracket, and then navigating the tools that are available to take advantage of the tax situation that you're in. And it shouldn't necessarily be a surprise when you go to your tax accountant. There should be some semblance of understanding of what you're getting yourself into if you've done the planning right. You shouldn't walk in there not having any idea whether you're getting a return, whether you're going to have to pay in, or whether you're walking out saying, great, I owe nothing, I got nothing, we did it exactly how we wanted. There should be some planning enough involved that you should have some good idea walking into your accountant what you're going to walk out feeling. So let's make sure we can avoid the surprises. That's one of the things we want to do. One of the ways that we do that, we do have a tool that we use here. And again, we're not accountants, we're not tax planning professionals, but we have a tool that we have called Holistic Plan, and what that does is we can review your tax return that you just got done. What it's going to tell us is some of the things we just talked about. It's going to tell us what your marginal tax rate is. It's going to tell us whether you took the standard deduction or whether you itemized. It's going to tell us how much we would have to do differently in terms of giving or retirement plan contributions in order to itemized deductions versus taking a standard deduction. It's going to allow us to take a little deeper dive into your tax plan than what we could otherwise. And so that's really the third thing is doing a review of your current tax situation and the taxes that you just filed. I think where people make the mistake and I think they actually say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and not making the change, right? And so people get stuck doing the same thing over and over. They go file their taxes, they walk out frustrated, and they go back the next year, they file their taxes, and they walk out frustrated without ever looking at their taxes and saying, okay, are there changes that we could make to try to change this situation and make it a little more manageable? That's, I think, the most important thing that people can do is actually understand where they're at and understand the tools that are available to them to make changes. And that's what we want to do to help. We're not going to offer tax advice, but we're going to be able to present tools that can make some sense that you can then go talk to your tax professional with and say, hey, are these some changes that we can make that would allow us to be in a little better place next year than what we were this year? And that's what we want is, can we be a little bit better next year than we were this year and make it a little bit more manageable of a process? So again, it shouldn't necessarily be something that's a surprise. It shouldn't be something that makes you anxious or irritated. Taxes should be something that we can plan for, we can prepare for, but it takes a little work to do, but we want to be there to help as much as we can.